Welcome back to another Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. Today we are covering the last four Milwaukee Brewers games since last Wednesday, as well as the Badgers game on football from Saturday. If you are a Green Bay Packers fan, go and check out our show from last night. We covered the Packers win over the Commanders last Thursday, as well as previewed the Packers' upcoming matchup with the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. So go check that out from last night's show if you are a Packers fan. But like I said, today is about the Brewers and Badgers football, so we're going to hit the intro and get going.
Welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we cover the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, and Badgers basketball and football teams from an optimistic and realistic perspective.
Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
Alrighty, so four Milwaukee Brewer games since last Wednesday. We have 3 wins and a loss. So we're going to start with the Brewers series against the Cardinals. All 4 of these are home games as well. So starting with Brewers game 1 against the Cardinals, Jake, what stood out to you from last Friday?
Yeah, so to set this up, Brewers looking at their second 4-game losing streak of the season. Obviously started the season on a 4-game losing streak, and they didn't want to start another one now this late into the year as they're trying to clinch not only the division title, they're trying to clinch the NL best record, MLB best record. So after that Texas series, which the last game was frustrating, we talked about that last week. So like Tyler said, if you're a Green Bay Packers fan, go check out the episode from last night, but also go check out last week's episode because we give you guys a lot of good information every week. It takes a lot of hard work, a lot of hours, on top of being family men and working full-time jobs. So it's a hustle, man. Let me tell you, it's a lot of work. It's something that we do enjoy, but it's a lot of work. Getting into this game on Friday, Quinn Priester's on the mound, and Brewers need some home cooking. They need to whoop on some baseball team here. Need to whoop some ass. And the Cardinals were in line for that as they are on a losing streak as well coming into this game. And Priester goes 5 1/3, gives up 5 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, and 5 Ks. He had a scoreless shutout going into the 6th inning where the wheels kind of fell off a little bit. But 88 pitches for Priester, 54 strikes, so it's a 61% strike percentage. And I wrote down some stats on Frelick and all the pitchers. So to continue with the pitchers, Ashby went an inning and 2/3, had 3 hits and a walk. Koenig, who's been really, really good as of late, had an inning, a hit, a walk, and 3 Ks, 3 strikeouts. All outs by Koenig were via the strikeouts. So very nice job by him. And Big Z, clean inning for him. So nice to see Big Z and Koenig, Ashby all having clean outings. I mean, the 2 walks from Koenig and Ashby, if you wanted to nitpick, you could nitpick, but no earned runs. That's what it comes down to, right? Ground ball outs. The Brewers had 8 ground ball outs. Priester had 3, Ashby had 3, Big Z had 2. Fly ball outs, the Brewers also had 8 of those. Priester had 7 fly ball outs, and Ashby had 1. And the Brewers tallied 8 strikeouts. So 24 of the 27 outs are right there, either ground out, fly out, or a strikeout. Absolutely beautiful stuff. The Brewers have won 12 straight decisions when Priester has started, and the last 18 in which he has pitched. So 15 of those were starts, 3 of those were following an opener. That's absolutely dominant by Quinn Priester, and the Brewers obviously giving him run support and liking what happens when he's on the mound, right? The last pitcher in MLB to win 12 straight decisions was Garrett Cole in 2019 when he was on the Astros. So that's pretty big-time stuff. Garrett Cole is viewed as one of the best pitchers in baseball back then when he was on the Astros and when he joined the Yankees, and now today, even though he's injured. And Priester has allowed 2 or fewer runs in 10 of his last 11 outings, including his last 5. So he's balling, dude. The Brewers, me and you were texting earlier today, and we both, had the same feeling that we're ready for the playoffs. Obviously, the top 3 pitchers in the Brewers lineup are ready for the playoffs too. I'm talking Peralta, Priester, and Woody, who is on the mound tonight, trying to get a win for the Brewers tonight. That's a good 3-headed monster when you hear all the numbers and stuff that they have accomplished over this year. In terms of the offense, Brewers offense had no hits through 3. They had a big inning in the 3rd, though. 4 runs, no hits, and got helped by the Cardinals with 2 errors. Frelick had a walk. Churio had a sac fly. Durbin and Ortiz scored an error from the right fielder, which ended up, when Durbin was rounding and going home, ended up hitting him in the back and going towards the Brewers dugout, which got Ortiz the score. Terang went into a fielder's choice. 2 hits and 1 run in the 5th. Collins had a single, and Bowers had a double RBI to hit Collins in. That was Bowers' 7th double of the season. Both those hits were off 4-seam fastballs. So that's going to be a key in this game because they were crushing fastballs all night. St. Louis scored 2 in the 6th to make it a 5-2 game, but Yelly said, no, we need some run support. Absolutely crushed a 2-run bomb, 432 feet off the scoreboard in the 7th inning. It was the 7th pitch of the at-bat, also a 4-seam fastball. Brewers weren't missing fastballs on Friday. Churio had an RBI single in the 8th, and the Brewers make another error hurt as Ortiz was safe on an error by second baseman Donovan. Frelick got a single, and that's where Churio enters with the RBI single to get the game to 8-2. And the Brewers take the game home 3 for 9 runners in scoring position, and good win for the Brewers on Friday night.
So I'm really glad you said a lot of good things about Quinn Priester. I literally wrote at one point in my notes that he's seriously talented.
Mm-hmm.
I literally just wrote he's seriously talented in my notes. In the first inning, the Cardinals had 1st and 3rd with 1 out. Quinn Priester versus Wilson Contreras. I don't know that I've been more confident in a double play happening than with that matchup right there. The Brewers in the bottom of the 3rd, like you said, they broke with that 4-run inning. Good plate discipline to start with 2 walks. Joey Ortiz laid down a good bunt that ended up as a single. Bad throw kind of forced everybody to be safe. And then Sal just missed a bases clearing double foul past the 3rd baseline. Went from 1-2 down to 3-2, walked, set up that Churio sac fly, and the throw from right hitting Caleb Durbin on the helmet. Joey Ortiz did a heads-up job base running to also score on that play. Then with Sal Frelick on 3rd base, Bryce Durang hits a grounder to the right side. The contact play work. I think the speed of Sal Frelick rushed the catchers trying to catch and tag Sal Frelick as he's running through. But I think Sal might have even been safe anyways. That's how fast Sal Frelick is. Cardinals in the top of the 4th got 1st and 3rd again. Quinn Priester this time, instead of getting an inning double play, gets a strikeout and a flyout. That's where I wrote that he's seriously talented. For him to be in those 2 situations twice and be able to get out of that situation in 2 different ways really just, I think, shows that he's not just a ground ball pitcher. You know what I mean? So with that, and you bring up Freddie, Priester, Woodruff, I'm totally fine if they want to line it that way. Just because those 3 have such contrasting styles. Mm-hmm. So Freddie's got the strikeout stuff. He's got the everything but the kitchen sink arsenal. Mm-hmm. When Priester's got 3 trusty pitches and 1 that he'll throw once in a while, and he's going to get a ton of outs on the bases, on the ground, on the infield, in play. Then you have Brandon Woodruff, who just comes out. He hopes that your house isn't done because he wants to paint it for you.
I like that. I see that.
So that's how Brandon Woodruff, that's how his style is. So I like the 3 different styles that the Brewers could trot out there in the first 3 games of a series. Now, you also mentioned the bottom of the 4th, Isaac Collins had a 1-out single followed by Jake Bauer's double. The late throw home, I just want to give credit to one Cardinal who was not playing because the Cardinals were playing without Mason Wynn. I just want to say that if Mason Wynn is playing in this game, there's a chance for a play at the plate on Isaac Collins. I just want to give the credit there just because I respect Mason Wynn, especially as a defender.
Right.
Top of the 5th, Quinn Priester, 2 more strikeouts, both of them on his slider. Not a pitch that I would be like, yep, that's his strikeout pitch, but good for him. And I will say, you bring up the wheels kind of falling off for Priester. I will say the 6th inning, potentially kind of an early pull. I mean, 88 pitches is probably, I guess, in mid-September where you want to be pulling guys. But I think if it's late August or mid-August, that he's going to get a chance to finish that inning even still. Just because I feel that the Cardinals got kind of a lucky run, like a hit by pitch that barely touched a sleeve, and then a triple off the wall. Jackson Churio basically standing at the wall as the ball gets there, and he kind of got stuck on the wall as he was trying to jump up to make the catch. So that paired with a hit by pitch that grazed the dude's sleeve, and then a single allowing the 2nd run in. Priester did rebound to get a double play after that.
Mm-hmm.
Then the top of the seventh, the Cardinals were able to load the bases but not score any runs. That's good work there by the Brewers pitching staff. And then you brought up the Christian Yelich home run, just an absolute nuke of a home run. 432 feet, like you said, 112.4 miles an hour off the bat. A week ago, the Brewers were playing the Phillies Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and the Brewers were keeping Yelich out of the lineup, and people were freaking out that his season was over.
Yep.
This is a lesson to learn to chill the fuck out once in a while.
Yeah.
Not everything is the worst case scenario. And acting like it is, and then having yourself rescued by the fact that Christian Yelich isn't hurt for the rest of the season, it's not a good way to live.
No.
Just it's acknowledge. You can acknowledge the multiple possibilities being, it could be a flare-up of the back injury. It could be that they're just giving their best players some rest before the playoffs start because he had a back surgery last year.
I mean, with all the stuff that's been going on with the Brewers and the injury bug that's been biting them for, the last 3 weeks, I would say pretty harshly, probably a good idea to give your best player some rest.
Yeah. So going to that worst case scenario place and then waiting for good news to save you, just acknowledge that good news could be coming. And then you don't have to put yourself down in mud and then hope to be pulled out. Just be prepared to walk around the mud because you might not have to step in it.
That's fair.
Top of the eighth, Jared Koenig came in with 2 on. The second was an opposite field infield single that Caleb Durbin did a really good job making a diving play on that did save 2 extra bases. Did a good job there. 3 strikeouts, got a sword on a curveball, got a strikeout on the top of the zone with a fastball. Cardinals were complaining, but it was definitely a strike. And then a 3-pitch strikeout to Walker on a curveball. Did a good job there. I've been critical of Jared Koenig at times this season, but I think he's arguably in his best stretch over the last, I'd say, 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, that's fair.
You mentioned the bottom of the eighth. The Brewers reached on an error. Joey Ortiz went first to third on a Sal Frelick single. And then Jackson Chourio, I wanted to give him credit for punching an outside pitch to right field. He's doing really, really well with that. All of those things happen with 2 outs.
I like how Chourio is heating up at the perfect time. Just keep going on the same trajectory. I mean, we got Contreras going now. He's still staying on fire. We got Bauer still hitting good. Yelly looks like he's getting the power back. I mean, things could get if we get a little bit healthier with this pitching staff, especially the bullpen. Things are going to get serious. Milwaukee's going to be a very tough out, especially in Milwaukee. And we still do have the most road wins in MLB.
We're going to get to the Angels game from last night. I'm going to say something about William Contreras that popped into my head last night.
That's right.
Going into Saturday's game against the Cardinals, Cardinals basically against Jacob Mizorowski were only looking for his fastball and slider. Mizorowski did get a strikeout with a curveball, allowed a first pitch home run off of a fastball, a hit by pitch came around to score, and then another strikeout on a curveball. Top of the third, Brendan Donovan hit a solo home run on a low breaking ball on an 0-2 pitch. I'm not worried about that with Mizorowski. Steve, welcome back. The credit goes to Donovan on that. For him to go like a baseball below the zone to go and golf a ball out, that's a low probability in my mind. That's a decent pitch, and you just give the guy credit for it. Bottom of the third, the Brewers did have 3 straight singles to start the inning with their 7, 8, 9 hitters. Sal got a sac fly to get the Brewers on the board. Chourio had a bad strike 2 called on him on a check swing. I think Chourio had an unfair strike 2 called on him. It feels like over the last week, the check swings that the Brewers have had called strikes, that if those were called strikes in the Phillies series, the Brewers would have won 2 out of 3 in that series.
Yeah. And we wouldn't be having to stress out games where the Dodgers bullpen sucks.
Yeah.
Just going to say it like that because their bullpen sucks.
I will say anybody worried about the Phillies, understand that they have to finish clear of the Brewers. If the two teams finish tied, the Brewers do on the tiebreaker. So you can kind of think of it as an extra game of cushion there.
Yep.
With that, being a bad strike two call led to a strikeout. Bryce Durant grounded out. The Brewers only got one run out of it. Top of the fourth, Chourio did make up for it with a web gem. He covered a shit ton of ground at a top 3 percentile sprint speed over 30 feet per second to close the gap to go make a catch in the right center gap. An insane catch for Jackson Chourio.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
I like how, we were talking, and this is probably my fault, honestly. We were talking probably about a month ago about, when you want to put in your better defensive lineup, you put Chourio over left field, and then Chourio goes and does that shit, and I'm just like, I'm just going to shut up about this guy. This guy is just going to do so much amazing things over the next 10 years. I'm just going to enjoy the show.
Yeah. And I get you. That's why we have Blake Perkins. He's like the late game defensive substitution kind of guy, or you can start him in center field occasionally. But your best outfield as far as playoffs go is going to be Collins, Chourio, Frelick.
Yep.
Cardinals did add a run in that top of the fourth inning. The Brewers in the top of the sixth. Sorry, the Cardinals in the top of the sixth. Added 2 more off of Grant Anderson, Big Z, and some below expectations defense, I would say, also contributed. Bottom of the sixth, Sal Frelick drew a walk. That got Sonny Gray out of the game. I think that's what the Brewers needed, similar to the Phillies last night against the Dodgers. They just needed to get Shohei Ohtani out of the game, and then that's all they had to do was score a bunch of runs. Jackson Chourio had an infield single, first and second with nobody out. The Brewers went strikeout, sac fly, and a Christian Yelich ground out, and it was 6-2. The Brewers were down 6-2 and 7-4 in the 8th and 9th innings of this game. Fetty did get to pitch against the team that DFA'd him through a quick 1-2-3. Then we get interesting. So, bottom of the 8th, Sal Frelick has a good opposite field approach to get a single to the opposite field. Jackson Chourio shows good patience to get a walk despite having a strikeout earlier in the game. Bryce Durant also drew a walk. Contreras hit a sac fly. Brewers in a good position. Christian Yelich hits an RBI ground out. After that, Tobias Myers allowed a run in the 8th. That's where it got the Cardinals to 7-4. We get to the top of the 9th, starting with a hit by pitch. Another thing where it's like, I don't know if Tobias Myers ends up on the playoff roster.
It's going to be close.
I'm kind of leaning towards no, just because I really just don't think that they're going to need a starter on the bullpen. I think now he's here for long relief, and he's giving the Brewers like an inning and 2/3, 2 1/3 kind of type.
I mean, over the last, since we go week to week, Wednesday to Wednesday, over the last week to week, Chad Patrick's kind of been filling that role as well. So
Chad Patrick looks much better at it, if I'm being honest.
He has been very good. I was going to give credit when his name comes up next game.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's looked very comfortable in that role, where Tobias Myers every once in a while gets knocked around a little bit.
He did do a good job. He had second, third with one out. He did do a good job to not allow any further damage. Then we get to the bottom of the 9th inning. Caleb Durbin gets hit by a pitch. Andre Monasterio goes from 0-2 to 3-2 with multiple foul balls before he gets hit by a pitch. Sal Frelick gets a double in the gap, and Jackson Chourio facing another loose strike zone. So I don't know what it is. Like, young players in the Brewers, they just get terrible strike zones, because I feel very similarly about Isaac Collins. I feel that he's gotten one of the worst strike zones out of any player on the Brewers this season. He gets a very loose zone called against him, and it's got to be frustrating. Chourio did still manage to get an infield single. Sal Frelick scored on the contact play on a tapper by Isaac Collins. And now we're tied. The Brewers tied the game. They were down 7-4 going into the 9th. Tied the game. Top of the 10th, Abner Uribe allowed the bases to be loaded with a hit by pitch and a walk with nobody out. The command was a little bit loose. The automatic runner scored on a ground into a double play, and that's the only run the Cardinals were able to get. Bottom of the 10th. I don't think, and I'm going to say something about this again, I don't think that there is a more clutch rookie than Caleb Durbin. And honestly, I don't think it's really even particularly close.
No.
You think with the number of walk-offs that he's had, I mean, he's hit big home runs, hits a gap double to left center to trade places with
Perkins.
Thank you. To trade places with Perkins, who scored on the play. Andre Monasterio swung at 5 straight pitches in his at-bat. All of them foul. Then he let 2 pitches go for balls, fouled off another 2 pitches. On the 13th pitch of the at-bat, hits a single into right center field, and the Brewers win. There was opportunity, obviously, for the Brewers to score more runs in this game. There were 2 times where they had the bases loaded with nobody out. Got 4 runs total out of those 2 situations. We've seen the Brewers obviously have 4-run innings all the time. Like it's talked about very frequently. But in a situation where 2 games in, Turang not having his best series, Yelich not having his best series, and we're talking about the Brewers scoring 17 runs in 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
2021 Milwaukee Brewers fans would not fathom 17 runs in 2 games.
17 runs in 7 games, maybe.
I was going to say 4.
Yeah.
And that's what we'd be hoping for. We'd be hoping for 4 1/4 runs because 4 was the magic number.
Yeah.
But that's not what this year's Brewers team does. They are trying to win games, 8-2, 9-2, which we'll talk about last night's. But what stood out to you from Saturday's comeback win?
Yeah, so this is what I wrote down. I wrote Miz gave up a couple in the first. Then the Brewers go 1-2-3 in the bottom of the first, all strikeouts. That's pretty much not how you want to start a game. That's probably the opposite of how you want to start a game. And then I wanted to give credit to Mizorowski. After he had the tough first inning, he had a really nice bounce back in the top of the second. He had a 1-2-3 inning of his own. The Brewers got a hit in the second. It was wiped out by Contreras getting caught stealing after Yelich struck out. And then the crew had the bases loaded in the bottom of the third and got 1 run off a Frelick sac fly. And I saw the freaking people bitching, man, just complaining. And it's this is just one of those perfect moments where me and you have talked about it. Please shut the hell up till the end of the game, because obviously we know what happened. The Cardinals got into the same situation and they only got 1 run.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. In the 4th and the 5th inning, no hits from either team. 6th inning, the Brewers got a sac fly from Contreras off an infield single from Churio. Wild pitch, he gets the second. Frelick led off the inning with a walk and was on third, ends up scoring on that sac fly. 6-2 score after 7, neither team score. In the 8th inning, Fetty started the 8th with a walk. His first 2 batters get a fielder's choice. The Brewers get the lead runner off the fielder's choice, and that obviously was big after loading the bases, getting the lead runner, then getting a couple ground outs. And then Frelick gets a single, Churio gets a walk, Turang gets a walk, and then Contreras gets a second sac fly of the day. Yelly on the first pitch is very aggressive, gets a ground out RBI, 6-4. So Brewers chipping away at it. If you're watching this game, you're just like, you're getting this feeling like, yeah, I've seen this movie before.
Get it close.
I like how this one ends.
Get it close.
I'll watch it again. Cards get a run off of a Frelick error, very rare error from Sal Frelick. And that made it 7-4. The 9th inning, Durbin was hit by a pitch. Monasterio was hit by a pitch. 8th pitch of the at-bat. Frelick makes up for the error that he made in the previous inning with a double. Churio with another infield single made it 7-6. Turang fly out, and Contreras with an infield single, just making contact.
Yeah.
This is what they do.
Yep.
If it's a ground out for an RBI, a fielder's choice, infield single, a fly out, doesn't matter. They're gonna make contact.
Yeah.
And that is polar opposite of the team that they're playing right now, currently in real life, the Angels, who lead the majors in strikeouts, by the way, if nobody knew that. Yelly had a strikeout looking. I literally think he got fooled if you watch that at bat. And then Collins had a fly out. 10th inning, Cardinals loaded the bases with a hit by pitch and a walk. Uribe gets a double play on a sinker in on the hands. Great freaking call. Great freaking execution to Turang. And then a ground out to first base. and only 1 run given up. So beautifully done by Uribe and the entire Brewers defense. Just perfect pitch. I was like, mama's de mia. Bases loaded with no outs. You don't want to be in that situation. But if you can get a double play and trade it for 1 run, you'll take that all day because we get the lead runner on second,
And
right?
that's the inherited runner too. So it's an unearned run also.
Right. So Bowers, again, the Brewers just making contact. Bowers moves Perkins over to third. Durbin was just like, yeah, I'm only going to make you run 90 feet instead of the 180. I'm going to go on second base, though. Makes the game 8-8. I 100% agree with you. I didn't write that in my notes, but I 100% agree with you that he is definitely the most clutch rookie this year by far. I don't even think it's close. Monasterio with an absolute great at-bat. I also wrote about he was fouling off pitch after pitch after pitch, and what an absolute monstrous at-bat. And he does this more than people realize, I think.
Hmm?
I mean, especially late in games. I mean, he will battle up there, and he may not get all the playing time in the world. He doesn't have the best average. He's not the flashiest guy with the glove. But if there is a guy outside of Christian Yelich that embodies Brewers baseball, it's got to be Monasterio, dude. He battles up there, dude. Every at bat, he is up there focused, and then when he gets on base, which he does plenty, he just has the big smile and he's having fun, dude. So that explains Brewers baseball to me. They're hard nosed.
I would put
they
Sal
battle
Frelick in that conversation also.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, those are probably the top 3.
Yeah. Steve asked the question: is it worth putting Mizorowski in the bullpen during the playoffs? This is an interesting question because I'm okay with it either way. So for me, it's entirely schedule and series dependent. Like, obviously, the Brewers are going to be well rested, assuming they finish with the top 2 seed, which it already looks like is going to be the case. There's a little bit of jockeying possible. I'm not going to deny that the Phillies aren't a good team. They're not going to take the first place away from the Brewers. It's plausible. Again, they have to finish a game clear of the Brewers because the Brewers on the tiebreaker, but I'm not going to say that it's not possible that the Phillies pass the Brewers. It is possible. The Phillies are a good baseball team. They've won like 10 out of their last 11 games. So it's possible. But either way, the Brewers are still extremely likely to finish with a top 2 seed.
Yep.
So either way, they're going to have a bye for the wild card round of the playoffs, meaning they're going to get the extra rest. So they're going to be able to set everything up the way they want to. Now, they go to a 5-game series. There's off days baked in between. If they're in a situation where they say win game 1 and 2, yes, put Mizorowski in the bullpen. I think you trust your team at that point to win game 3 or 4, and that you don't need a 5th starter for the series because you're trying to win in 3 or 4. So I can see an avenue to put him in the bullpen. I can also see if, say the Brewers win in 4 and the Phillies beat the Dodgers in a sweep, then maybe you want to keep him as a starter because then maybe he starts game 1 of the NLDS.
Yeah.
Or the NLCS, I mean.
Yeah.
So it's possible, I'll say. But again, to me, it's schedule and series dependent.
Yeah, I think he'll flourish in any role that you put him in, obviously, but I would really like to see him as the starter. And, we've used Priester in that role. I just mentioned that last game. I would like to have, if you want to roll out Mizorowski, go one time through the lineup, he mows through the first 3 innings, and then you have Priester come in there and he can give you 6 innings and the Brewers are just hitting the ball over the ballpark. That is a recipe for success. And something that we've seen, obviously, this year multiple times, not with Mizorowski and Priester to be exact. But that is something that is possible. Also on this day, I wanted to mention that the Brewers were the first team in Major League Baseball to lock up a playoff spot with the Mets loss. LOL. That is hilarious to me. A year later, they're the reason that we make the playoffs instead of knocking us out of the playoffs. I thought that was hilarious.
That is funny. Spoiler alert, I'm going to bring up another guy after we talk about these last 2 games really quick about somebody else they could do that with. So give me your takeaways from Sunday. I listened to this game on the radio instead of watching, but what's you from Sunday?
Yeah, I also listened to it because I was hanging out with my dad and we were doing a bunch of stuff outside. So Quintana's on the mound, 4 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, and 2 Ks. And then you hear that 4 hits, 3 earned runs, and 2 walks, and you have to understand that all of that happened in the second inning when he was struggling a little bit, had 41 pitches in the second. And the credit to the Cardinals, they're a team that had lost 5 straight up to this point. They needed a win. I mean, goddamn, they were on life support, and they put together a good second inning. So good for them. He did. I just want to give credit to Quintana after having that tough second inning. He did retire the last 8 batters that he faced. So that is a little positive you could take away.
Did that
He
while
might.
dealing with a strain. They've been giving him extra rest. They're going to give him a couple extra days off.
Yep.
They're going to see how he responds to throwing today before making a decision about him. But did it while dealing with a strain that very well could have happened during that second inning.
Right. Also want to give a shout out that this was another rare off day for Contreras. So while people were freaking out about Christian Yelich, I was trying to hold in my laughter because I was planning on bringing this up. People were talking about Christian Yelich, taking some time off. They're also doing the same thing with Contreras to kind of get his body as healthy as possible for going into the playoffs as well.
Yeah.
So with that being said, Durbin got the crew on the board with a pretty much what you would call a wall scraper, 359 feet off an 86-mile-an-hour slider. He got all of it as much as you could on a pitch that the location wasn't too bad in my opinion. And for Durbin to turn on that and put that over the wall, make it a 3-1 game at that point, you start thinking to yourself, maybe they could do it again like they did it last night. Some good pitching from the Brewers pitching staff kept the game there, and Jansen led off the 5th with a 410-foot bomb. His first home run as a Brewer since being acquired at the trade deadline, and also his first home run since July 20th. He unloaded on that fucker like it felt good. That's all I got to say about that. That had to feel so good. The final 20 batters for the Brewers, they had 3 hits and 2 walks. In those hits, it includes back-to-back hits that the Brewers had from Vaughn and Terang in the 6th inning. Then after that, it was pretty quiet. Shout out to Chad Patrick. He had a really, really good inning. Koenig looked good again. And Payamps, I know the 2 walks. You don't want that. But, him stacking, unearned, appearances is a good thing. I don't think he'll be on the playoff roster, but, you can think about 2026 and how the Brewers like to jumble around. Maybe he's a guy they keep around. You never know.
Yeah. I want to give credit to the whole bullpen staff. I mean, Ashby, Grant Anderson, Chad Patrick, Jared Koenig, and Yoel Payamps, the 5 of them combined to throw 5 scoreless innings. All 5 of them, their pitch velocity was up.
Yeah.
It's not like a ton, a super big amount, just because at this point of the season, like most of the averages are pretty averaged out, but all 5 of them, their velocity was up. They pitched 5 scoreless innings, allowed 2 hits, 3 walks, and had 10 strikeouts. So good job, bullpen, even in a game that the Brewers lost. My thing with the Brewers offense, the 2 things that I would say, they did not stack traffic. There was only twice where they had 5 batters to the plate and none where they had more than 5. Obviously, if you're not sending guys to the plate, you're not stacking traffic. And then the other thing, the guy that finished off the save on Sunday was the guy that also blew the save on Saturday. So he was able to finish the job on Sunday. That's pretty much all I had from that. Yeah. So we go to last night's game. Jake, tell me what stood out to you from last night while we were talking Packers. But since you've been able to review the Brewers game from last night, what stood out to you?
Yeah, Freddie Peralta should definitely be getting some Cy Young votes. Is how I'm going to start this conversation. Freddie Peralta, 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 10 Ks. I'm going to talk quickly about the other guys before I start getting into more Peralta stuff. But Grant Anderson also gave up an earned run. Both the earned runs were solo shots. So that's not going to hurt you too bad, especially in a game where the Brewers were putting together some good offensive innings, right? 1K for Grant Anderson as well. Chad Patrick comes in, gets 3 strikeouts, and I start thinking to myself, fuck, man, we got another weapon in the bullpen. We've been having all these injuries, and my anxiety is starting to be like, might be in trouble in the bullpen. And then Chad Patrick's just like, hold on, I got it.
Wherever you need me, I'm here for you.
Okay, Chad, I see you, Chad. I didn't forget about you. You started the season all good, had a couple rough starts, got sent down, and the mental toughness for him to continue to battle, being up and down, like I said, it's impressive to me, man. I know people
he's pretty close, in my opinion, of being a lock for the playoff roster.
Yeah, that's playoff roster. They got some tough decisions to make, man. Honestly, they got some real tough decisions to make. I do not. That's one of those positions where I do not envy being the coach or the GM because
we'll probably take a crack at it in a couple weeks. But
yeah, we'll try. Piamps, again, nice for him to stack a couple scoreless outings together. He also didn't have the walks this time, so that's good for him. Bunch of guys contributed to the RBI train, but Yelly hitting his 29th homer and getting his 99th RBI. This is something that you and I have been waiting for. We want that 30 homer, 100 RBI season for Yelly, dude. I want that so bad for him. A guy who could have had back-to-back MVPs. He was battling, a couple years after a couple really shitty injuries, and for him to get back to 30 home runs and 100 RBIs that's impressive. And I don't care who you are, who you're a fan of. If you're just a fan of baseball, you got to be happy for a guy like Christian Yelich who does the right things, never causes any problems. Also, he's fucking hilarious when he goes on podcasts. Like, he hangs out with Barstool people all the time, and he's hilarious over there. People keep talking about the magic of Bob Uecker this year. Maybe the magic of Arian Foster as well, dude, because he became a first-time fan of baseball this year, and he ended up with the Milwaukee Brewers, and now we're having one of the best seasons we've ever had. And no doubt that we're having an offensive breakthrough, with a guy like Arian Foster. And there's going to be kids that listen to this one day. Arian Foster was a goddamn problem before injury started to slow him down. He was a problem. He was good on Houston, so look him up, YouTube that. Going back to Freddie, NL best 17 wins now. Also ties him for the MLB lead with Max Fried. So he's tied for the most wins in Major League Baseball. And the most wins in Brewers history. Zach Davies had 17 wins back in 2017, so that is impressive. This was his first 10 strikeout game of the season and his 15th of his career. He struck out the side in 3 separate innings, the first, the second, and the 6th inning. He was impressive last night. He's tuning up for the playoffs. You could tell that for sure. It's about to be on.
Yeah. Freddie Peralta, 5 batters. He had 4 strikeouts and walked Mike Trout. Gave up a walk and a bloop single, then 2 more strikeouts. 44 pitches through the first 2 innings. So already saw somebody complain. It's like Freddie Peralta has recorded a whole bunch of strikeouts, and I'm like, arguably the most amount of strikeouts you could have through 2 innings. And somebody comments, also an insanely high pitch count. Meanwhile, the Brewers had the Angels first-time starter at over 50 pitches through 2 innings, including 32 pitches in the first inning. But then he started getting a bunch of balls in play. So it's almost just like, shut the hell up. Freddie's a good pitcher. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
12-pitch third inning, 10-pitch fourth inning. 5th inning, gave up a solo shot, but still a quick inning. And then a 1, 2, 3, 6th. Finished with 20 swings and misses over 6 innings pitched.
Damn, man.
10 strikeouts, like you said. 19 of 22 batters had a first pitch strike. Fuck yeah, Freddie Peralta. That is beautiful stuff.
You don't want to be behind the counter with that guy. That's all I'm going to say.
Not at all. Not with as many different pitches as that guy can throw you. If you get to a 1-2 and 0-1 count with Freddie Peralta, good luck guessing what he's throwing you.
He's got 3 pitches that legitimately, if he's on, you're fucked. Change up, curveball, fastball. And the fastball obviously being the heavy one.
Yeah. And good luck trying to figure out which one you think he's going to throw you in a 2-strike count.
Yeah.
When he's only got 1 ball.
Right.
Like if it's 3-2, you can probably lean fastball changeup, but
right.
Yeah. Like I said, 32 pitches in the first inning for the young Angels starter. Brewers only tallied 1 run, tallied another run in the second. The 3rd inning, another single tally, and then Christian Yelich decided to make it not a single tally with a 2-run home run with Greg Gard in the booth. So we're going to be talking to Mike soon about the Badgers. We are starting to get pretty excited for Badgers basketball. We're very, very excited for Badgers basketball this season. Like Jake said, the Angels got a solo off of Grant Anderson in the 7th. Brewers immediately got it back in the bottom of the 7th. Started a hit parade in the bottom of the 8th. Got 2 guys on with walks, then Blake Perkins and Sal Frelick. By Blake Perkins and Sal Frelick, and then they went single, infield single, added 3 runs, completed the blowout. And I want to give credit. This is where I said I was going to talk about William Contreras. He had the top 3 exit velocities of the entire game. 111.6, 111.0, and 109.3. So Contreras is ripping the ball. And the thing that I was going to say is we are almost – I'm really close to considering a William Contreras apology form.
Ooh.
Now, looking at what the Brewers have next, they have 2 more against the Angels tonight and tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have 3 games at St. Louis on Friday through Sunday. And then we will have the Monday through Wednesday series against San Diego in San Diego. We're still thinking about how we're going to do next week because the Brewers and Padres will start at 3:10 next week. So we're going to see how we're going to schedule next week's show, being as the Brewers will be playing during our normally scheduled programming. Last thing I'm going to say on the Brewers before we switch to the Badgers, Pat Murphy was asked today. He said, based on throwing 2 2/3 innings scoreless in Nashville yesterday, that we will see Robert Gosser, quote, soon.
And Nick Mears is coming back. Did you mention that?
I did not mention Nick Mears coming back. I was very excited to see that we're going to see Robert Gosser soon. With him pitching last night being Tuesday night, I think it's potentially that we see him Sunday in St. Louis.
I like that. Also, the update on McGill is that he didn't feel as good as he wanted to feel after his last outing. So maybe another week or so off for him, but it's trending that he'll be back for the playoffs as well. Yeah. So it looks like all guns blazing coming into going into October here.
Yeah. Alrighty. We're going to switch gears. We're going to switch to football, and we got to get it over with. Start with Badgers at Alabama. I've seen people say, oh, this was supposed to be the measuring stick. It's really not. Especially, people are like, oh, it's year 3 of Fickell. It's also year 1 of a new offensive coordinator and a new offensive identity. So I think there needs to be some shift of expectations on like, oh, this is the 3rd year of Fickell. We should look different by now. They've made changes, and changes that people wanted them to make by bringing in Jeff Grimes and going back more to Wisconsin-style football than the air raid that they tried. So let's start with the offensive line. Jake, what's up to you from the offensive line on Saturday?
I got nothing nice to say. I'm just kidding. I got some nice things to say. So offensive line, we gave up 4 sacks. Malman gave up a sack. Brunner, nothing. Renfro, that's a tough son of a bitch is all I'm going to say about Jake Renfro. Had the knee injury, and then Mandel gave up 2 sacks, and one of the sacks he gave up actually got Jake Renfro hurt and knocked out of the game. That was the worst possible time for that to happen. Cubberly also gave up 0 sacks. Corey came in for a couple snaps because Kanako came in for 1 play. And cover your ears if you don't like cussing, but he got bitched on that play. Like, straight up, I'm just going to call it, he got bitched. He is a senior. That was a freshman for Alabama. My goodness. I was standing up while watching the game because I rarely sit down watching football. I don't know what it is. It gets the blood pumping a little bit. But after that happened, I sat on my couch and said, yeah, maybe I'll sit down for this one for a little bit. It's pretty tough. We gave up 2 hits. Renfro and Cubberly gave up the hits. And 5 hurries, 1 from Brunner, 2 from Cubberly, 2 from Mandel. So 3rd game of the season, and Mandel has had a bad game, a good game, a bad game. So Maryland, I guess you're screwed because he's going to play good this week. if that's the trend we're going on. In terms of the offensive line, I don't want to steal too much of your thunder again, Mike, but I am going to try to cover a little bit of some yards, contact, rushing stats. So Badgers had 30 attempts for 125 yards. Not good enough, flat out. Just going to say that right now. Not good enough. They had 61 yards before contact. That means 64 yards after contact. 51. That means 51% of the yards came after contact. You have to get more push up front, especially on the road, especially versus a ranked opponent. You're in Big Ten play now. You are a Big Ten team. You're the one that when people think about Big Ten football, they think about offensive lines. They think about giant maulers across the front. We've talked about that for years. These 6'6" guys that are 330 pounds walking out of the cornfield. We've talked about that forever. What the hell is going on around here? If I could quote Vince Lombardi real quick, because this offensive line is not playing up to par, and it is, in my opinion, the weakest part of this team so far in this season. if the offensive line was playing better, I think Grimes can get a little bit more creative. I think he wants to get a little bit more creative.
Mm-hmm.
We saw him kind of dealing some of that stuff out in week 2.
Yep.
He can't do that if Danny O'Neal or Billy Edwards Jr., whoever's back there, and, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but it sounds like Billy Edwards is kind of trending towards starting, and he's going to be a little bit better with timing stuff where Danny struggles with that a little bit, being a younger player. You can't do any of that cool stuff if the offensive line's not holding up. Yep. So we got to be better up front.
Mike, I assume you have similar sentiments as far as it affects the run game?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, watching the first 2 weeks, like just looking at the eye test, right? And once again, the yards per carry is just not good enough, not nearly good enough for the Wisconsin standard, not for Wisconsin football at all. I 100% agree with Jake as far as this whole team is concerned. The weakest group is the offensive line. Part of that is due to injuries. Part of that is some of those older guys that came in, the transfers, just not, living up to the expectation they had bringing in. Davis Heinzen comes in game 1, gets his absolute ass beat, and we haven't heard him ever since week 1, right? And that's supposed to be a redshirt senior. Obviously, the injuries suck. I could see Ryan Corey actually starting this week. Talking Fickle, he absolutely loves Ryan Corey, so just keep an eye out for that. But anyway, going back to the actual run game, not too much to be too overly optimistic about. Darian Dupree, I will call him out real quick. 7 carries, 26 yards, 3 catches, 13 yards. He had a very nice swing pass catch on a crucial third down that Danny O'Neal got over to him. That was a big time conversion. It was right in between a linebacker and a safety. And I think Jake, you want to say something? Go ahead,
bro. Remember, I had a bold prediction that Yak was going to have a long touchdown because Florida State ran that same kind of look against them and they scored.
Yeah.
Oh, Danny, you got to put a little bit more butter on that ball, my boy, because I think Dupree would have been running for a while. Also, that linebacker's so lucky the safety had his back because he was toasted off the line. Dupree destroyed him off the line.
Yeah. Yep. That same safety that had 2 picks for Alabama, too. 2 picks.
Played a good game.
He's a good guy. He's a good player. Anyway, Dylan Jones, 26 snaps, 5 carries, 25 yards, 2 catches, 8 yards. And Yak, only 11 snaps, 5 carries, 21 yards. But, at the end of the day, this is just not going to cut it for the running back room. The longest run of the year so far has been for 14 yards. That is not good enough at all. We need one of these dudes to break one. I don't care. It's got to be this weekend, too. Maryland's going to be as easy as it gets when it comes to, Big Ten football. The easiest game, the opportunity the rest of this year. Point blank.
Maryland and
we got to get off to a fast start, and we got to lay it into these boys offensively. Yeah. I'm sick and tired of going on first drives and not getting anything out of it, or whether it's by penalties or just doing a 3-and-out, or we just can't move the ball. We cannot go another first possession with just like a dud. Because it seems like it screws us up at least for one full half.
Mm-hmm. So looking at the passing game, you bring up turnovers. The first interception that Danny O'Neal threw, I think he was just completely fooled by a linebacker. I think that was a good play by a linebacker. Danny O'Neal, though that he did start all of last season, and we've given him credit for the Badgers for bringing in 2 previous starters. I see that as an experience thing because he's staring down the receiver. The linebacker's guarding the running back in the flat, and Danny O'Neal just telegraphs it, and the linebacker had to take 2 steps and jump into the passing lane for an interception. The second one, I'm going to give Danny O'Neal a little slack. I do think Lance Mason could have run his route a little bit better. He kind of let the defender run his route for him, throw him off his route. Lance Mason rounded it off when it's supposed to be a sharp cut out route, and Lance Mason got bumped off his route and did not play with force in that route, I would say.
I agree with that.
So that one, I understand that Danny O'Neal is expecting Lance Mason to be in a certain spot when he's throwing that ball.
I agree.
Now, bad news out of the way. Danny O'Neal did hit a really nice hole shot to Darian Dupree on a 3rd down. The Badgers had a good play call on a 3rd and 5 to run a misdirection tight end screen to Lance Mason. Danny O'Neal dropped an absolute dime to Jaden Ballard for a 41-yard touchdown. That was a great throw.
Yes, it was.
Dropped it right in the bucket. The defender's head never got turned around. right into the hands.
Mm-hmm.
I do think, in my opinion, I thought Danny O'Neill was decent handling pressure. And plays he was under pressure, he was 3 for 7 for 19 yards against 14 total pressures. When he was blitzed, he was 7 for 9 for 80 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception versus 4 pressures. So then 10 pressures not against the blitz. I think that's where you guys kind of talk about the offensive line not really doing enough. Brad said you can't keep bringing in QB after this team isn't in a position to succeed like that. And they've had just, unfortunately, just really, really bad luck.
3 years in a row.
Insane cursed luck.
Name the last program that's gone 3 years in a row without their starting quarterback, like during the season.
It's insane that it's
3 years in a row.
Times. Yeah. So Danny O'Neill was 11 of 17, had 118.4 rating. Obviously, still had the 2 interceptions, which is obviously bad. But out of his 11 completions, he completed a pass to 7 different players. So the ball is being spread around. There's depth in the pass catchers. So I'm not super, out on the Badgers offense. I still think they can put up some points in the right matchups.
Just a matter of execution. I absolutely love, I know it doesn't look right, but I absolutely love the Grimes hire still, just looking at it. You love the creativity, as Tyler, what you just said, just getting the ball into different guys. I think you can rely on, like you said, 6-7 different guys catching the ball, running, catching the ball just in general. So that's definitely going to create some sort of that's going to create confusion for other teams, obviously. But love the creativity from Grimes. Just a matter of execution and getting all the right guys out there, whether that's on the line, running back, receiver. Just got to go out and execute.
It's also game 3. We're 3 games into Jeff Grimes' tenure as OC.
Everything will be fine. When Billy comes back, he'll be able to execute the game plan a little bit better. Also help with the protection plan up front, I think. That's probably where Danny O'Neill is the most raw.
Yeah. That's fair. All right, switch to the defensive side of the ball. Jake, what's it out to you from the defensive line?
Kind of a slap in the face to this defensive line, which looked to be maybe, I said the offensive line was probably the weakest part of this team. Defensive line looked like maybe the strongest part of this team. Over the first 2 weeks of the season, they were absolutely dominating, feasting on these lower-level teams. In the run, they had 4 tackles in the run game. Peterson had 1. Actually, both Petersons had tackles in the run game. Parker Peterson actually played pretty well. I thought he played with really good leverage and strength in the middle of this defense. He might have a bright future with this program. He's been pretty good. In terms of pass rush, we had 0 sacks. We got 2 of the 3 quarterback hits, 1 by Rieger and 1 by Peterson. And I'm talking about Daryl Peterson. When I say Peterson, I'm going to say Parker Peterson for Parker Peterson, just so there's no confusion. Daryl Peterson from now on is just Peterson. They also got 8 of the 15 hurries. Dylan Johnson got 1. It doesn't matter, Bucks and 6. Love that. Training camp right around the corner, first week of October. I was just looking that up today because I was like, man, I miss watching Giannis dunk a basketball. Back to Badgers football, Dylan Johnson with 1. Peterson with 2 hurries. Rieger with 4 of the 8 hurries, and Suggs actually had a hurry. The thing about Suggs is he needs to play with a little bit better leverage. And he's a big guy. And he gets away with some stuff just because of his sheer size, but he stands up a little bit. I'm like, my guy, sink. Just use leverage, what God created for you, and you'll be just fine in the pass rush. But I have some stuff I'll say about the Maryland game, so I'm going to save that. But D-line needs to get you need to get home once or twice a game to create momentum, because when Mike talks about the DBs, man, you better set them on fire, my boy.
My subject as far as the linebacker is concerned, I'm a little salty with Tressel. You cannot have your linebackers covering wide receivers.
That looked like the last 2 years. That was ugly, man. I couldn't believe it either.
Tackett Curtis had a bad game because he was so far away from the line of scrimmage.
Yes.
At that point, take him off the field and put another DB out there. If you're going to have Tackett Curtis out there covering wide receivers and shit. Now, I'm going to stand up for Tackett Curtis because the opening play of the third quarter that Alabama went and scored on, Tackett Curtis, the guy blocking him held the fuck out of him. He's trying to make a play, and he's getting dragged like this, gets literally tackled as Ryan Williams runs past him. He couldn't disengage, literally got tackled. That's some bullshit. I understand it does not matter, even if you take those 7 points away, but that's still some bullshit. Cody said I didn't know Preston Smith was having Badgers cover wide receivers. It would be like having Quay Walker guarding Justin Jefferson instead of Preston Smith, but Tackett Curtis is a fast linebacker. I have no doubts that he will grow into a linebacker that can cover tight ends, but he should not be guarding Alabama wide receivers.
Yeah, what are we doing, bro?
I will say the Badgers, Christian Allegro in coverage, allowed 5 for 6 for 33 yards and missed 4 tackles. Not his brightest day either. The Badgers, I think, also needed some better quarterback to contain, and just in general, I miss Nizier Forkurian.
Yes.
But the last thing I want to say, I want to end on a good note, is Aaron Witt. He played 7 snaps. He registered a pressure and 2 tackles in those 7 snaps.
He actually had a really nice open field tackle talking about Aaron Witt. And if we're talking about people we miss, I miss Jim Leonard, dude.
Yeah. He was almost my dark horse for defense, but yeah, Mike, we missed Nizier Forkurian. Anything else you want to say on the secondary?
I probably shouldn't, but I'll talk anyway. But no, I know I literally just said the offensive line is probably the weakest part of this team. But, I mean, after this last week, man, I mean, the secondary gave it a run for its money. But, no, it's not. But I'm not going to lie.
The secondary could be the most inconsistent part of the team so far.
They got cooked. And, that's all I'm really – there's not much else to say after that. The secondary absolutely got cooked. 382 yards passing, 24-30 for Simpson. We made him look like a Heisman Trophy candidate at times. Ryan Williams, welcome back to college football. 5 receptions, 165 yards. As Tyler pointed out on that first play in the second half, a lot of it advocated for that play. But he still juked the shit out of Jameer Latimer on a touchdown that he caught as well. That was actually pretty sick. He had 2 touchdowns. And Jeremy Bernard, 4 catches, 62 yards, and a touchdown. He got his touchdown on that 4th and 2 play, basically on the goal line. I thought Tackett Curtis had him at first, but I think he just took a slightly bad angle to that as he was turning the corner, unfortunately. But no, that's okay. It is what it is. But yeah, man. I mean, I'll start with the DBs. Rico Holman, he did have 5 total tackles. He played all 55 snaps. He did give up 5 passes. One of them was a touchdown, I guess, on paper technically. Not the greatest day for everybody. Jameer Latimer, 4 total tackles, 60.5 Pro Football Focus rating. That's about it there. And then Emilio Agard and Deone Hill. I mean, both of them had 27 snaps apiece. Or no, 28 for Agard, 27 for Deone Hill. None of them registered a tackle or anything like that, which is kind of concerning, given how cooked that we got last week. But and then to the safety room, the one bright spot out of this whole secondary was Austin Brown. He did have 11 total tackles. He did basically save our ass many, many times during the game. So 8 solo, 1 tackle for loss. Preston Zachman, he did unfortunately get beat quite a bit, but he did have 5 total tackles. And Matt Young got out there, the Nita native. He got 24 snaps in. So, but all in all, I totally agree with what Tyler said based off of what Alabama was running. I don't get why there wasn't another DB out there at times, because it looked like one of our guys was in quicksand basically, and we were down a guy essentially. We were playing 10 on 11. So I wish adjustments would have been made. I thought our run defense did a pretty good job stopping the run until DeBoer was just like, okay, we can't run, but we can fucking throw on you guys. So basically starting in the second quarter through the rest of the game until the starters got taken out, they just threw the ball. And we didn't generate a good enough pass rush specifically in that second half. And, he was just standing back there untouched, unfortunately. He picked our guys apart. So we definitely got to clean some things up. I hope Nizer Four-Creen comes back, as Tyler said. But, hopefully this is a learning lesson going forward. And we won't run into 2 NFL caliber receivers until we get to probably Ohio State. So here we are.
Yeah. Brad said he wants to fast forward to basketball season. We are very, very excited about basketball season, but we're still going to enjoy the football season for what we can. And Maryland is a good bounce back opportunity team. So Jake, what are you looking for from the Badgers offense on Saturday against Maryland?
Yeah. So Badgers offensive line has had a different starting lineup in every single game. So 3 straight weeks, different starting lineup. It would be really nice if we can get some consistency up front. Let's get a starting 5 up there, and then we can work off that, right? Don't you think that'd be nice to get a little bit of consistency up there? The quarterback, let's get our starter back, get a little bit of consistency there. Then we can let Grimes cook a little bit. My goal for the offensive line is they are the reason that we win this ball game. Clean pocket. They get a push up front. Running backs have some holes. They don't have to have over 50% of the gosh damn rushing yards be from after contact. I want the offensive line to dominate on Saturday. That's what I want to see. And I kept it short because there's not much else to say. I've said everything that I needed to say.
Yeah.
I'm giving them constructive criticism. I applaud Jake Renfro for gutting the end of that game out. But having the knee and the ankle, man, that is tough.
Mike, what are you looking for from the run game?
I kind of mentioned it earlier, but can we bust a 20-plus yard run? Can we please do that once? God, we're like, I think Badger fans are dying for that. I sure as hell am.
Yeah.
I'm looking for one of our running backs to bust out a run. I know it goes hand in hand with the old line here, but or even like a swing pass. Even I would take that and go for like 20-plus yards. That works for me. Whether it's Yak, Darion, Dylan Jones. I need one of those guys to bust one out for 20-plus somewhere. I don't care what it's for. Swing pass, run, hell, I don't know. Some crossing pattern, I don't know. I need a running back to bust one. That's what I'm looking at.
As far as the passing game is concerned, I know we talked about it that Florida State beat Alabama with the run game, but I would like to see Danny O'Neal or Billy Edwards Jr., if he's playing, to sling the ball a little bit. I don't need to see, 35-plus throws, but 25? I mean, Danny O'Neal threw 17 passes last week and he completed 11 of them. I mean, let him throw the ball a little bit more. There's lots of wide receivers and tight ends that I want to see with the ball in their hands. That's why I brought up the fact that those 11 completions were to 7 different players. Maryland allows 184 passing yards per game to Florida Atlantic, Northern Illinois, and Towson. Those are the 3 teams that Maryland has played. Yeah. So moving to the defense, Jake, what are you looking for from the defense against Maryland?
I need the D-line to gain some confidence, play fast, and play physical. That's something that you always hear when talking about defense. You hear it on offense as well, but defense is more of a attack mindset, right? Which is why, personally, when I was playing in high school, I loved playing defense because I was like, oh, you're telling me I got to go after this guy? I got to whoop his ass? Oh, sign me up, dude. And if you're a D-lineman and you're not licking your chops going after this team like Tyler stole a little bit of my thunder, FAU, Towson, and Northern Illinois being the class of teams that they have played so far this year, that game was 13-9 entering the fourth quarter, by the way. Just want to let everybody know that. Maryland is, not great. You're going against a freshman quarterback in his first true road game. Let's get after this son of a bitch.
As far as the linebackers are concerned, I mentioned it. I ended on it. I would like to see some more snaps for Aaron Witt. He was really close to being my defensive dark horse for this season. He was efficient in those limited snaps against Alabama. And then the other couple things, 8 of the 12 missed tackles that the Badgers had came from the linebackers. Clean it up. Clean it up. I will say, despite weak opponents, Maryland is only averaging 99 rushing yards per game, and the quarterback has 5 rush attempts total. So it's not a situation where I'm worried about the quarterback running. If there's an RPO situation, lay out the running back. Mike, what are you looking for from the secondary?
Yeah, just how we're going to defend Malik Washington, the freshman quarterback. He's got 773 yards passing already this year, 6 touchdowns and a pick. So and to go along with that, I want to see Rico Hallman get his first pick of the season. That's what I want to see. We had Preston Zachman week 1. We had Agard week 2. Fortunately, nothing last week. I need to see our bell cow in that secondary, Rico Hallman, get his first pick. I think it's a good opportunity. Again, going against a freshman quarterback, hopefully to go along with a good pass rush, which I think we should be able to get after this guy too. So I'm looking for, a guy like Rico who's been, like I said, our leader in that defense for 3 years, step up and get his first pick in this game.
I like it. All right, Jake, who is your X factor for Saturday?
So my X factor is a mindset, okay? I'm not going to be like other fans that are going to be like, oh my God, it's the third year under Fickle. Oh, we should be better, blah, blah, blah. I'm sick and tired of hearing that shit. When the calendar flips and a new football season starts, that is where your mindset goes. And if you go out there and you win this game, you find a little bit more about your identity with Luke Fickle, which is something that needs to happen. The offensive line, you need to start winning the trenches, first of all, on a consistent basis. That's where you're going to start being dominant in the Big Ten. Not just college football, Big Ten. Let's focus on that. We're in one of the 2 premier conferences in college football. Mm-hmm. But if you win this game, now you've won 3 or 4. I'm not thinking about the first year under Fickle, the second year under Fickle. I'm thinking about this year under Fickle. And if you start winning 3 out of your first 4, start creating an identity for yourself, that's where momentum starts. And people want to talk about Luke Fickle like he can't coach. The guy went to the goddamn college football playoff with Desmond Ridder. How good was that guy in the NFL? They want to talk all the time about how he had Sauce Gardner. He had Desmond fucking Ridder as his quarterback. I don't want to hear shit. Let's find an identity. Let's punch somebody in the mouth.
And I think we've talked about it too. I mean, and even to Brad's comment about the basketball team, the recruiting is so much more just there. Like it's more visible, not only to the potential recruits, but also to the fans. It's more visible, and it rubbed off on Greg Gard. You don't think it has? Go look at any Greg Gard posts before Luke Fickle was hired as a Badgers head coach or as the Badgers head football coach. Mm-hmm. It's not like what it looks like the last season and a half.
Nope.
I promise you that. The stuff that Luke Fickle has been doing since he came to Wisconsin, Greg Gard started doing last season. The timeline of that is very much Luke Fickle having an impact on Greg Gard that way. I'm not saying that we need to keep Luke Fickle just because he had an effect on the basketball program recruiting, but just saying it's factual. For me, looking at Saturday for X factors, I picked 2, and it's Tackett Curtis and Gamir Latimer. In my opinion, those are the 2 players who have the biggest need for a bounce back game. So that's why I picked those 2. Mike, who is your X factor?
Honestly, I'm pretty basic. I just wrote down who's playing center, right? I still think, with Jake God, and again, Jake made a great point. He gutted that out in the fourth quarter. I personally wish they would have taken him out at that time to give a guy like Ryan Corey more snaps, which again, that's why I kind of brought this up, because I could definitely see Ryan Corey potentially even starting, I think, this game. But I wrote down who's playing center because at the end of the day, that's the captain basically of the offensive line, right? He's the one making most of the calls, making the checks, making, all that. So just it goes back to building camaraderie and a consistency. Unfortunately, if Renfro doesn't play, that's once again a new lineup for this team. But we do know it's a possibility. So I do hope if Renfro can't go, I would love to see Ryan Corey out there. Fickle absolutely praised him after the game with the 10 snaps that he went out there for. And I thought he did a good job too. And although it didn't take much to beat Kerry Kadenko's one snap that he was out there for after he gave a sack. But no, I'm just looking forward to seeing what's going to happen on Saturday regarding that.
All right, Jake, give me your score prediction from the head.
All right, so I cheated a little bit, and my head pick was if Danny starts, and my heart pick was if Billy starts. So I'm sorry I cheated, but my pick from the head, I picked Badgers win 28-17.
All right, I actually have the same margin of victory, but I have 31-20.
Oh. I got 24-17 from the head, Badgers.
All right, Jake. Okay. So drop the heart score then.
All right. So from the heart, I have 38-14. I think he makes that much of a difference.
All right. So my score from the heart, the Badgers, the last 4 games against Maryland have won by an average of 22.5 points. I don't have them winning by 23 points, but I have winning by 21, 34-13.
Ooh.
I got pretty basic. I got 27-14. I think our defense is going to be able to bounce back. I honestly do. Overall, 14 points, not too bad. It's really going to come down to what's our offensive line going to start. I do think Daniel O'Neal's capable of getting us, to that 27-point mark, even if he does start. I think Grimes is going to once again have a good game plan to set him up for that. Regardless if he's got to throw a little bit or, do some more misdirection stuff. I really hope Billy can come back for this game. I do think maybe deep down why he didn't play last week is because he wants to play against his old team this week. So, because he's been listed as day-to-day the last 2 weeks, right? So I personally think he's coming. I think if I gun to my head, I bet he's playing this week. This week in practice, he has been getting a few more reps with the ones as well. So that about 50-50 with Danny O'Neal. So, and that's significantly more than what he's gotten the last 2 weeks. So I think, gun to my head, I bet he does play. I hope he plays. Get a little, I don't want to call it revenge or anything, but it'd be cool to see him play against his old school. So
I'm just going to jump in because my bold prediction does involve Billy Edwards. My bold prediction is that Billy Edwards and Jake Renfro play and Wisconsin scores 42 points.
Oh,
there we go. I like that.
That would be a breath of fresh air for Badgers Nation. Just saying. Mikey, what you got, man?
I got Vinny Anthony scoring multiple times. Could be 2, could be 3.
1 rushing, 1 receiving. Let's do that.
Yeah.
I'm with it. So I was thinking about running game the entire day when I was taking my notes on Sunday night. And I said the Badgers are going to have 10 runs of 10-plus yards. That's not super bold, but for this year's team, that would be insane.
That would be insane for how this year is going so far.
Yeah.
I like that.
But he said, okay, now they have to.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm with it. 10 runs of 10-plus yards. You're controlling the clock. Billy Edwards, if he's playing, is probably slinging that thing deep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We will be back again next Wednesday. We will have the recap of the Badgers game against Maryland and the preview of the following week. So tune in next Wednesday, and we will have that as well as the next handful of Brewer games. So tune in again next Wednesday. We'll see you then. Thanks, everybody, for commenting, and we'll see you guys next week.
Later, boys.